Wow.
Let's bring in our next rogue performer, Andrew Potter. Andrew, how's it going, bud?
Great. That looks delicious.
Nice to see you again.
Yeah.
Is this your third time on the Buzz?
This is my third time. Yes, third time on the Buzz. We're losing.
No, for every promo I do of my show, I have to take.
No, it's a black cumin seed.
It's good.
It's black cumin.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's your third time on the Buzz. This is your third Rogue Festival, then.
Third Rogue. That's correct. Yeah.
Are you doing a different show this year?
It is not a different show because everyone in Fresno has not seen my show yet. So I gotta wait until at least I get half the population to see the existing work before I move on.
What's the name of the show?
The Road to High Street.
The Road to High Street. Now, and let me remember this. Didn't you live like in San Francisco in a beer?
That is correct. Living in
a beer what?
Beer tank.
You lived in a beer tank,
or sometimes they call it a vat, a beer vat.
There's been times in my life where I felt like I was living in a beer tank.
Yeah. I've had a lot of people tell me after they see my story, they say, "Wow, I wished I had lived in a beer tank." Now, I'm not sure that's exactly true. However, having done it, it was workable at the time, and it makes a great story now.
But there wasn't a lot of amenities living in a beer tank.
There was
property taxes.
There was a roof over our head, so that's the first thing you got to get to. Roof over our head, and they did have not toilets, but toilet facilities.
No, it wasn't.
How many people were living in the beer?
So here's the deal. This was a section of the old Hams Brewery where they used to age the beer. So it was a 4-story building, and they had these 40-foot long vats on every floor. And you walk into this hallway, and it's all tiled, and you got these portholes on the side of the wall, and then you go in, and that's where this vessel is. It used to be filled with beer. And this is what people back in the day were, who couldn't otherwise afford accommodations. This is where people were living. And my buddy Wheeler and I, my partner and I, had just pulled into town. We didn't have any money. We didn't have any job. We were just starting to street perform because that's what my show was
You're
about.
busking.
That's correct, my busking career. And we're kind of like, well, we're already making money. We already sort of had our in. We just needed a place to stay. And it's like, well, we don't have any money. We don't have rent.
It was free?
No, it wasn't free. $200 a month.
For the both of you?
For the vat. For the
vat.
vat. You can split it as many ways as you want. $200 per vat.
Oh. You could stuff a bunch of people in it. You could stuff 200 people in a vat.
Did it smell like beer?
It did smell like beer. So the very first thing we did, of course, was wash the thing out because it had a very, you could see foam on the wall. It'd be this high. It'd be foam stains like a
Here
high
in
water,
San Francisco,
like a high
you sure
water
that was
mark.
beer?
Oh, it was definitely beer. There's no mistaking. Plus,
Okay.
Actually, I used to live in a high C container. Sorry, I thought that was funny. Sorry.
You used to live in a high C container?
Yeah, I did. If everybody at home thinks that's as funny as I think,
I don't think they are.
I'm looking for it. I'm not quite catching it.
Yeah, well, it's funny, I tell you.
So, you play guitar in your show?
Yes, I do. In fact, I just made a slight change because I've been playing acoustic all these years. I'm more of an acoustic player, but I play a little bit of electric in this show. And I just made this change to my show, which is, I'm very excited about it because it's going to make things different. So before, what I used to do, I got a big video screen, and I project all this imagery on it, right, and to kind of go along with the storytelling. And I sit there and I play the guitar. And that was fine, except I felt a little constrained. You can't move. So what I decided to do is put the video screen at the back of the stage, go electric guitar, stand up, go wireless. So now I'm not connected to anything, and now I've got space to move in. So now I can kind of wander through the space and play electric guitar. And
so it's much more exciting this way.
Well, we don't know yet because we haven't tried it yet. But it does open up a lot of possibilities.
I'm still stuck in the high C container.
I know you are. You're driving me crazy.
It's gonna get it out.
Where's your venue?
Spectrum Gallery.
The Spectrum Art Gallery.
Right, on Olive Street.
How many shows are you doing this year,
I have four shows. My first one is, what's today, Friday? Tomorrow, Saturday, tomorrow, 3 o'clock at Spectrum Art Gallery, and then Sunday night at 7. So here's my little blurb here. You can catch that. And first show tomorrow at 3.
Now, how many other Fringe festivals do you do a year?
I do 2 or 3 Fringes a year. I have to drive to gigs because I have so much equipment. so I can't really fly.
Where's home base these days?
Rhode Island.
What?
Rhode
You
Island.
drove from Rhode
Well,
Island
no,
to
I
Fresno?
didn't. I drove from San Francisco because this is where my story took place. So I have friends and resources in San Francisco. So I drove down from San Francisco. But Rhode Island is where I call home.
So do you do any fringe on the East Coast?
A little bit, yeah. My next one is in Portland, Maine. And that's a new one for me. So I've done a handful. I did Capitol Fringe in D.C. last summer.
How was that?
That was fun. They're all very different. They're all very different. That one didn't quite have the wild and crazy vibe that maybe Fresno.
Wait till this summer. They just legalized the pot yesterday.
That's right.
Yeah,
Real pot.
in DC. So, Andrew, is your show of all ages show?
It is it's adult show. It's not that young kids wouldn't like it all. You know, some of it because it's a reflective show. I talk about what it was like to leave home and go out on this very unconventional career and a little conflict with the parents and then how living in a beer
Your
tank.
parents weren't happy that their child was going to be a street performer?
Well,
And living in a vat?
Yeah,
Living
my
in a beer
parents-
tank?
My parents were laissez-faire, so to speak. They kind of said, well,
What do you mean? What does that mean?
It means do what you want.
Oh, okay.
Do what you want. So they let me do what I want. And, of course, they expressed their skepticism, I should say, maybe. But, after a couple of years, when we were clearly making a living of it, and we started traveling to places like Japan, they kind of said, well, I guess you're doing fine. Good for you.
So you went to Japan to do what? To busk?
No, we were hired, my buddy and I were hired to perform in Japan on several gigs over
How did they find you?
Well, it worked very, very well. A little bit of learning curve involved because we had to lose the language in the show, right? Because they don't speak much English. They speak a little English, so the Japanese speak a little English. We learn a little Japanese, and then that whole language barrier becomes basically a setup for conflict, which you can then have fun with, by just goofing and.
Plus, you were really tall to them, I bet.
Yeah, I suppose. Especially when I got up on the 6-foot unicycle, then tower over everybody.
What do you mean?
The 6-foot unicycle.
You have a 6-foot unicycle?
Well, I did back in the day.
And you would ride it on
the 6-foot
stage?
unicycle. Yeah.
Doing what? Juggling?
Well, our big finale was to juggle 6 separate objects back and forth on 2 6-foot unicycles.
That's what you need to be doing for Rogue, Andrew.
Yeah, well, I'm afraid those days are over for me. Now I get to just talk about it.
I understand. All right, your first show's tomorrow at 3?
Tomorrow at 3 at the Spectrum Gallery, the road to High Street.
All right. Andrew, it's always good to see you,
All right,
buddy.
thanks for having me.